All right. Good afternoon to those of you on the East Coast. Good morning to those of you on the West Coast. I'm your host, Brandon Choi, host and co-creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. Thanks so much for joining us for today's show. As you well know, every Saturday we make it a point to do a special show known as This Week in Review. And as always, I won't be alone in talking about many of the story threads that have made the rounds throughout the entertainment industry, whether it's been in film and music, what have you. So let me bring on my fellow co-host, co-creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited, Jerome Bourgeois. What's going on, man?
What's up? How's it going, man? How's
It's
everything?
going good. It's good, good, good. All right. So as I said, we have some stories to talk about. So we're going to dive right in. But before we do that, if you enjoy these videos, of course, make sure you like and subscribe. So make sure you are hitting that subscribe button down below. It helps us out a great deal. Like I said, give us a thumbs up, drop a comment, let us know where you guys are watching the show from. And, if there are any other, stories that you feel were relevant to the week that need to be highlighted as well. Be sure to touch base with us. So with that being said, the first story, Jerome, that I want to hop into is a film that for has a huge cult following, not just with the film but also with the series, and that is the film known as Highlander. All right, so 35 years ago, over the course of this week, 35 years ago, we had the start of this unique action franchise. Let me pull it up. One sec. And the reason why I bring up this story is, so this past week, one of the actors, the villain of the original film, Kurgan, actor Clancy Brown, actually posted some behind the scenes photos of of this franchise. And the reason why I bring this up is, it's kind of uh, surreal to think that this film came out 20, well, not 20, I'm sorry, 35 years ago. Is because there's so many things that are synonymous with this franchise. That whole concept of there can be only one, that so many people know. And even just thinking about the music, like the music was incredible. Thinking of the band Queen, and that song that is synonymous with not just this show, but just with that IP, and that's Princes of the Universe. So while I'm bringing up these photos, Jerome, I know you're perhaps not as well deeply ingrained in terms of the fandom for this franchise, but still, what are your thoughts considering the actor and the longevity that he's had in his career, and still reminiscing about one of these major hallmarks that he's had within his acting career.
Yeah, I mean, I know about the Highlander film. I mean, like I said, I never really got into them or whatever. I still gotta, I'm gonna admit I haven't seen all of them, so, but I just never was like a hardcore fan or just like into it. But I'm gonna have to check them out now. But no, I always knew like the actors in it. I mean, obviously you had Christopher Lambert, you had Sean Connery, and Clancy Brown. I mean, of course he's he's well known for Shawshank and a bunch of other movies, Hurricane stuff. So yeah, I mean that dude. I mean, he's a great actor. So anything, I mean, it's always nice just seeing like certain actors, see where they've started and then how they grow. And I mean, if people are still fans of a certain property or franchise, I mean, there's definitely an audience there. So who knows? I mean, there's. I always wonder though now, because we have so many like remakes and sequels now. It's like I'm sure studios are open to anything when it comes to these older franchises. So I mean, maybe there might be a hint for something coming later. I don't know. Probably.
Who knows? But yeah, a lot of these photos that you guys are seeing are some of the photos that he posted on his Twitter of a lot of those, a lot of these, moments or snapshots of doing the film. So if you guys don't recognize, this is him 35 years ago. However, he also has pictures. Here's him in costume as the villain Kurgan, but also him with his fellow co-star Christopher Lambert. So yeah, as I said, cool to think that this past week we just had the 35th anniversary of the release of that film, and everything that that film entailed, and that actually still continues, to a degree. We don't necessarily have a TV show currently now, but I grew up on watching the TV series. Perhaps I've seen many of the films, but I'll age myself a little bit. Most of my fandom came not just with the movies, but perhaps probably more so with the '90s series that some people recall used to come on and used to be in syndication like all the time on TV. All right, so switching gears a sec, thinking back again, and that idea of going down memory lane. This week, we had Mortal Kombat, their Twitter page. They debuted one character that we have yet to see among like the character posters, or even in some of we probably, now that I'm thinking about it, in the trailer itself, we probably saw like a quick snapshot of this character, and that's the character of Kabal. So let me pull that up. So the picture that they showed, see if I can find it here, was this here. Let me pull it up. So they showed the picture here, which many of these pictures we've seen already of how the characters look. But if you guys are eagle-eyed, you can see there in the far right corner, we have a look at Kabal. So let me give you a closer look at him. So he has his mask, he has his blades, which are awesome. And it's cool to see that they are picking various characters, various diverse characters from the world of Mortal Kombat that are fan favorites. I have to admit, when it comes to MK3, being a gamer as a youngster, Kabal was one of my favorite characters because I used to be able to do some like crazy combos with many of the moves that he has, because a lot of his moves are centered around his speed and how quickly he can move. So with that being said, there, now that we're coming up on the release of MK, Jerome, we're about a month away. What are your thoughts on them debuting to look at this character? Do you feel like maybe they should have just saved it for the film and just had it as like a nice little surprise reveal of an additional character? Because sometimes that can be fun too. Or are you cool with them showing them now?
I mean, they've already revealed so much already, so I mean, might as well show. They could show tidbits. It doesn't really bother me. I'm sure they'll probably still have surprises in there that we don't really know about, so it's not the end of the world. But it's just interesting to see how, like, no, they're taking it seriously, it seems, and they're really trying to make all of these characters more realistic, or in a more realistic world and more practical. And yes, recently it's official, the movie's rated R. So I was looking at that. So
yes,
that's
indeed.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, because obviously people say, but it's like when it's official, you're like, yes, they're getting down to business. But yeah, I mean, I think it looks incredible. I mean, it's like right there, it looks even better than the game, I think, because it's like the video game obviously has a certain look, and the game was like based off of real people actually, like, or how they tried to, like, how they filmed it. I know it was, even I remember going back to the first game, how it's like, however they used computer imagery or CGI or whatever, it's in its infancy stages. But yeah, I just like how they've, it seems like they improved on his costume maybe, and they made it more practical. And who knows? I mean, I'm sure they're going to find a way, or I would think that they would find a way to make, like, tie the origin stories of each of these characters on screen to really fit the story. So, I mean, it looks like it's going to be a good movie. So can't wait.
Yeah, indeed. Again, only time will tell of how the film will pan out. I have my fingers crossed that it ends up being a entertaining film. I know that there's been a lot of hoopla and a lot of buzz, especially from those that have been working on the film, that the fight scenes are supposed to be the most incredible that they've ever been able to put on film. I don't know what to say necessarily about that. I just hope that they are, you know, entertaining and unique. But considering, you know, what I know that they didn't really necessarily have a lot of resources with this film, perhaps in relation to their contemporaries and larger scale pictures, like, you know, your Marvel films, obviously, or your DC films. But as you said, I'm definitely excited about them making the film rated R, and seeing some of, you know, the favorite fatalities or finishing moves that a lot of these characters, you know, are known for. So yeah, definitely excited to check out what they have in store. All right, so switching gears, guys. Let us hop out of that story. The next one that we want to hop into, and Jerome, I'll let you take the lead on this, is a story that we have with YouTube. So apparently, during 2020, which is, you know, not necessarily surprising, YouTube, its TV screen streaming on its TV screens jumped 20%, according to the company. Jerome, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I just thought this was really important article just to show where where media is going, and the entertainment industry, and just where people are consuming content, movies, TV, and then just entertainment, or spending their time. I guess just consuming different content, and it just shows that, you know, you can make a movie, you can make a TV show, you can make a short film, you can make a commercial, whatever. But you're competing with everybody. You're competing with everything that is online. Like, it's like whatever you see on streaming services, or what you see on TV, or whatever you see on YouTube. Like, they're all competing for eyeballs. So this really proves it, and really highlights the importance of, you know, even if you're going to have something online, you know, people are driven to watching it if they want to see it, if they want to watch it. So you know, seeing, and especially ever since you know, when smart TVs became the norm,
right?
You're getting more people watching stuff on YouTube on their TV. Like, I mean, I watch all this stuff on YouTube. You know, I'm sometimes I wonder, I'm like, man, I'm probably watching almost just the same amount of stuff on YouTube on my TV as I'm watching movies, or, you know, other services. But it just shows, you know, with the competition out there, and what people are, where everyone's going, how it's all interrelated. And I feel like if you're trying to, like, you know, if you're trying to make a movie, or you're trying to make a TV show, or you're trying to make whatever type of narrative, if it's scripted, unscripted, you know, if you basically, if you really can make something popular on YouTube or any of these online platforms, it's a lot easier now to transition into being a brand in the entertainment industry. And there's several examples of people who've done that, who've had webisodes, or who've had you know, or had a lot of subscribers, and then now they're getting these big deals if it's like a reality show or a movie or whatever. I mean, and you have, you know, you just look at you know, was it Issa Rae with Insecure? I mean, she had a webisode series before, and then HBO picked that up. You have there was that recently, that was it, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air trailer for the dramatic version. It got so many views. I mean, I think it took about a year or so for being out. And then the filmmakers, they teamed up, you know, they got Will Smith's attention, and Will Smith helped them pitch it to NBC. And now they got a deal, and they're remaking that. So this is just to really highlight, like, you know, we're definitely in a time where there's a lot of competition. Now everybody and their mama thinks they're a filmmaker, or they think they can put out content. That's true. But if you have really quality stuff, and you can build that following, or you could, you know, and you really show that you're giving people quality work, you can get your work out there, and then you can you can transition that into getting like, you know, eventually like a big deal, or a deal that reaches multiple platforms. And you're going directly to the consumer, and it's specifically a numbers game. So it's like you have the analytics too, and that's what I think is amazing about this. But you really you still have to build that brand, build that IP, and build that property, so you can later go to a studio, or go to a network or a streaming service, and be like, hey, I have my audience here, you know, let's take it to the next level. So I just thought it was pretty cool, and it's just proving that, you know, this is where we're at right now, and this is the future. It's going to continue. But that's basically the story that this article is highlighting. And I just thought this is something you guys would definitely benefit from looking at. So, yeah, there's definitely a lot of opportunities out there. So
there we go. All right, it was a quick, yeah, it's a little technical difficulty, but I'm back. But no, I definitely agree with what you were saying. The thing that was interesting, and I'll actually reshare it with you, is, and it's kind of case in point to what you were saying and talking about how the landscape of how we consume content has changed a great deal, and it's exact quote from this article in Deadline. It was from the YouTube product sheet. Let me see if I can snatch it. I'll share it up here. There we go. All right. So it was in this same article that we had talking about the story where, as I said, the product chief of YouTube, Neil Mohan, or Mohan, excuse me, Neil, butchering your name, I apologize, Neil Mohan. In a quote that he had, he said, "Viewers are leaving behind traditional primetime, and we're finding at YouTube that the new primetime is personal. People want the freedom to stream anything whenever they want, whether it's their favorite movie, a hard-to-find music performance, a premier sports event, or even a tough workout." And, you know, there's something to be said about that. You know, a lot of us in our everyday lives, we're constantly on the move, and you know, that former model of going home and sitting down and relaxing and you know, turning on your TV, while it's still prevalent, and it's something that has, you know, happened currently now, we're still in a very fast-paced society where people want things on the go and be able to access things on the go. You know, it's not unheard of for me. A lot of times, if I'm in commute somewhere, I might be catching up on a TV series that maybe, you know, I didn't have a chance to catch, you know, last week's episode or the last 2 weeks episode of a certain show. And I have it right there in my hands, available right there from my phone to be able to check out that show. So, you know, that's quite a difference, even 10 years ago, versus, you know, what we have now on how readily available a lot of our content is. So definitely an interesting story for sure.
All right. I'll say one last thing. I think what's also really significant is I mean, I don't know how much longer it's going to take, but this is definitely getting closer to the breaking point where, like, TV really is just going to be irrelevant, like the traditional TV model. Because a lot of these cable companies, a lot of these networks, they're not getting as much in advertising or whatever because people aren't watching traditional TV as much, even though there are some, like YouTube has YouTube Live TV. There are ways you can watch live TV, but the thing is, if you can watch everything on demand now, which has been proven, that's why everybody's going towards, like, all these big companies are going towards the streaming model. You can just watch. Most people rather watch something whenever they want to watch it. The only time they really watch TV now, or there's a reason to watch TV, is like for a live performance, something like, you know, like a live, like it was the Super Bowl or the Oscars or the Emmys, or now the Grammys are this weekend. So I really feel like now it's like I really believe, like, in the future, we're just, you know, it's just going to be specifically like platforms like YouTube, Facebook, you know, what else? And then just the streaming services. And, you know, I really think we're going to have a decline in just traditional networks. They're just going to have to, they're all going to have to follow the streaming model, or and or something like YouTube, so tech companies are running the entertainment industry. That's basically what's happening.
Well, no, it's funny that you bring up the topic of cable, because I mean, that's something that we're starting to see a change in too, where a lot of the cable companies are now competing with the streaming services, where you see a lot of people now cutting the cord, and they're starting to get rid of their cable. Even people within my circles are getting rid of cable now because they have so much access to content on the streaming platforms. So it's a very interesting time right now, as you said, in terms of kind of the shift that we're seeing in terms of how people are consuming their content.
And it is funny you say that, because it's like, how your cable bill would be way more expensive with internet and all these channels, but it's like someone like me,
That
I don't even
bill, man.
but I never really like pay for cable. I usually just have internet, and I might have the basic. But now it's like you can be selective with the different streaming services, and that's cool. But if you're trying to see everything, it's almost like that bill is gonna stack up again. So it's almost like
Irony,
I'd rather just pay for a few stream. Like I have Netflix and was it Disney Plus, and but then you maybe have other friends. Well, they might have some other ones, and maybe you guys, you share with each other, do whatever you gotta do. But anyway, I just feel like I'd rather just pay for certain streaming platforms, the ones that I watch, as opposed to being forced to pay for like thousands of channels that I'm not even watching. Like I'm probably not watching 990 of them. I'm probably not watching, and I'm like, why am I paying for them? So I think that's a good thing, but at the same time, it's like, because everyone's charging a monthly fee, you could technically spend the same amount of money as paying for a cable bill now, but we'll see how it goes. It's going to be interesting. Unless we see more of these bundled packages of streaming content, if bigger companies maybe buy them. So like Disney, it's true. Like Disney, you can get ESPN, Disney Plus, and Hulu for a price. So you're at least getting 3. So, but they can do that because they own those 3. So we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So switching gears to our next story. This is a story in the world of film. So household director, or say his name, household name director, Steven Spielberg is actually in the process of directing an untitled project. And let me bring it up, because it is a particularly unique one. Let's see. There we go. All right. So yes, Steven Spielberg is in the process of doing an untitled project, loosely based on his childhood. And there's an extra added caveat to that, in that Michelle Williams is actually in talks for a role inspired by his mom. So let me pull up that story for you guys, so you guys can check it out. It was a story that we similarly in our last topic, a story from Deadline, that aside from his upcoming project that he has with West Side Story, Spielberg will be directing an untitled pick at Amblin Pictures that is loosely based on his childhood growing up in Arizona. And again, just as I said, insiders add that Michelle Williams is in negotiations to star in a major role inspired by his mom, but with a separate and original voice. So with all of this being said, Jerome, what are your thoughts on this project and the potential that it can hold in terms of the finished product?
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting because it's I read his autobiography, of course. I'm a fan of Spielberg, like who isn't? But as a filmmaker. But yeah, I think it could be interesting because even though a lot of he's had a few films that obviously have derived from his past and how he grew up. It is interesting, if you've read his it's not his autobiography, it's unauthorized biography, but it's interesting. Like even it technically is. He didn't write it, but it talks about like how he grew up and living in Arizona and just like how he was kind of an outsider and how he just did his thing making films, but also had issues at home. And obviously he's Jewish, so having that you know, being different in that area, because I don't think there was a big Jewish community over there either. But yeah, all of that having impact on him and how he's, you know, but he loved movies and he loved film, and he made his own projects, and I just like, for me, and also this is one of the few movies that he's actually going to co-write, because it's about his life. Because really, Spielberg doesn't really write
that. Yeah,
he did, what was it? Close Encounters of the Third Kind. That was based off of a film he did back in the day called, I think it was called Firefly or something like that he wrote and did, and they just redid it. So but everything else that he does, he's not really a writer or director. He's pretty much like one of the best directors when it comes to directing, and he teams up with writers. That's his thing. But this is interesting because this is part of his actual, based on his life story. So obviously he's gonna co-write it. But I just like seeing Spielberg do different things. And I mean, of course, he didn't really do I don't think before West Side Story he's ever done like a musical. I mean, even though it's a remake, but I feel like he's taking more chances doing different stuff, or he's at least getting back to mixing it up, where he'll do something that seems to be like, you know, a mainstream big entertaining movie, and then he'll switch it up. I mean, he's at that point in his career where like he's done so many different genres and stuff. I feel like he wants to take more chances. So I don't know. I mean, I'm just, anything he gets involved with, I usually am excited about, or I'll probably enjoy, you know. So, but
yeah,
that's why I thought it'd be interesting. It was, you know, it's something different, and it's based on his life. So I think in general, just like a film about him would be interesting. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the documentary about him on HBO. It's really good. There's some stories in there that I thought were really great. So to me, honestly, that would be the interesting story, seeing just about his life. But I was going to
say the thing that I'm most fascinating and see how it develops is, you know, just as we had the extra caveat that we were talking about with Michelle Williams, I will be interested in seeing the casting aspect of how this, you know, comes about, because, you know, just as you said, he's going to be involved in the writing because this is a very personal story for him, and taking inspiration, you know, from his, you know, formative years living in Arizona, because, you know, he's gone on record many times of how, you know, that upbringing inspired, you know, so many of the films and the characters that have been featured in many of those iconic films that he has helmed, directed, what have you. So I will be fascinated to see how that turns out. And they even stipulated in the article itself, it says Spielberg will now look to cast the remaining roles, which includes children at multiple age levels, one of which will play the part inspired by young Spielberg. So no pressure to anyone out there who's going to be cast in this film of you know, being cast as a young Spielberg. So it'll just be interesting, at least on the casting aspect of the ensemble that they put together for this film, for sure.
And maybe we'll get J.J. Abrams to play him when he's a little older.
There you go, right.
He tries to look just like him anyway.
Right.
Anyway.
Okay. All right. So switching gears from that story, peeps. As you will know, I believe right now it's on hiatus, but we do have another Mission Impossible that is being being made currently. It is I'm trying to remember, it's the 7th one at this point, right?
Yep.
I want to say it's the 7th one.
Yeah. They're doing 7 and 8 back to back. 7 and 8 back to back.
But yes, via Instagram, director Christopher McQuarrie actually posted a picture of a very familiar face. So let me put him on here. So actor Henry Zerny, let me bring the picture that he showed, which was pretty cool. All right, so there we go. So picture of Kittredge, who many of us recognize from way back when in the first Mission Impossible. I'll give you a more familiar picture since it's in black and white that they showed here of the first original film. Let's see if you can. There we go. So probably recognize the character of Kittredge from 1996, guys. 1996 was the first Mission Impossible film. It is hard to believe that it's been that long. I'm guessing probably another reason why, you know, there's been so much a hoopla regarding like the production of Mission Impossible is I'm guessing that Cruise is really pushing to try to get this film in the can and done by this year. Based on the delays that are happening, I'm not seeing that happening. So unfortunately, I don't know if he'll be able to make that 25-year gap or that 25-year anniversary happen by having it released this year. But still, as I said, it's cool to have this character come back. He's part of. He's been in many of the iconic scenes that we know from the franchise. If you guys remember, that initial interaction that he has with Ethan Hunt in the restaurant, and Ethan Hunt's use of like the gum. That's all I'll say. I know it's been 25 years, but if you haven't seen it, it is one of the coolest scenes of the entire franchise, and it's used many times. I should say not many times, but it's used again in the climax, which was cool. Nice callback. So with that being said, what are your thoughts on this character? As I said, this is the look of the character 25 years ago. And as I said, you have a new look right here. Let me pull it again. How he's going to look in the new upcoming Mission Impossible. What are your thoughts, Jerome?
I mean, I think it's always interesting if they try to tie in a newer sequel with the original, and they've been doing a pretty good job of, well, obviously keeping like their main, usually having the main team throughout, and I mean, obviously you rotate certain people and they bring in new people, so that's kind of interesting. My thing is I'm just wondering what else you can do. I mean, I'll tell you the original reason I like these movies, and I like what Tom Cruise and his producing partners were doing with these movies, is I liked how they had like a different director, had a different take for each film. So it kind of had like a different style. And it just made it a little more unique and interesting. I know Christopher McQuarrie, he did the last two and he's doing these next two. So he's like taking charge, even though, I like the last one. I thought it was pretty good. And he's been writing, I think, since Ghost Protocol or so, but, or he got involved. But anyway, I'm just curious to see what else they could keep doing. Cause to me, I think this franchise has been probably more interesting, than probably for the most part, since compared to like the James Bond franchise, even though that's been longer and they've been changing up stuff. But I don't know. I'm just curious how much longer you can keep going and what else you're going to do. At least since it's a spy, franchise, you can get away with a lot of the crazy action, all that stuff. Unlike some franchises, like Fast and Furious. But even though I'm a fan. I'm still a fan, but it's like that's a different conversation. But it is I don't know. I'm just curious to see what else they're gonna do. I just know that Tom Cruise, he keeps trying to outdo himself. And obviously, with him doing all most of the stunts or whatever, that's, he tries to always be a crowd pleaser that way. I think they were filming, and also like the locations. I always think the locations are great. Like that's always cool. And I know that they're bringing in these other actors too. Carrie Elwes, Rob Delaney, the guy who was in Deadpool 2, who was like the normal team member of X-Force, the guy with I mean, whatever. These are actors, so I don't know. Who knows what characters they're playing? But still, it's interesting. I will say I do like when they add. I do like when they add like really like well-known actors into some of the parts that you're like, when they added like that. To me, like I think the best one is Mission Impossible 3. That's my favorite one because I like how you had Lawrence Fishburne and obviously Philip Seymour Hoffman. Rest in peace. He was great as a villain. But I like how they keep doing that.
I was gonna say on paper, I love the cast for MI3, but I probably am in the court of like many people where I feel it's not a bad movie, but I don't feel it's the strongest in the franchise. So
which one do you think is the best one? Which one do you think is the best one?
I like Rogue Nation a lot. Let me see. And I like Ghost Protocol. So
Ghost Protocol is good, but I just think the villain and everything. I don't know. For me, I just think the villain and everything, the story how it was done, that was the best one. But I mean, I know people don't like the second one. I like the second one too, but whatever. That's another conversation.
Conversation for sure.
Anyway, I think to me the third one is the best one, and I think the reason why I like this franchise is because they kept bringing in serious actors to play either villains or be part of the cast, but that's the problem. That is kind of the problem I had with some of the, I mean, I like the last one, but what I didn't like about Rogue Nation is like, I didn't care about the villain or like what was going on. There was cool action, but to me, it's like, your villain has to be strong. It can't just be, oh, I'm just some bad guy and I'm mysterious. I don't know. For me, it just didn't work. I mean, whatever. We could debate that all day long, but
right.
For me, that's what I like about the franchise. So hopefully, I'm hoping that they kind of get back to that. But I'll be honest, like I just don't know how much more you could keep going in this direction, regardless, because unless they're gonna change, you're gonna have a different person running. I don't know. It's some franchises after a while, it's like, maybe you should do a different franchise.
Hang it up, right? Yeah, hang it up.
It's like Fast and Furious. You don't want it to be like Fast and Furious, where it's like, are they going to be on Mars now?
At some point, man. At some point, they're going to have to be on Mars. At some point,
they're going to be time traveling. You're going to be, it's like, come on. Anyway, but
still,
I'm still going to watch it.
I'm going to watch it. Just like you said, I'm going to be watching it. But like, if you, whenever it comes to franchises, it's always cool to see certain characters come back, especially if they haven't been, killed off. So, it'd be interesting to see that dynamic between those two characters happen, again, based on, their prior history in prior installments. But yes, switching gears. Also, over the course of this week, there was some news that dropped regarding the status of the upcoming Creed film. Right now, we'll just say that it's called Creed 3, as we haven't, necessarily gotten an official title. We'll just say third Creed film. But the star, Michael B. Jordan, actually has been confirmed. Up to this point, it's been, rumors, speculation. Will he or won't he direct this film? But via the studio, I believe it was MGM. It was confirmed this week that he will indeed be directing this third installment. So, Jerome, thoughts?
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I know that he's producing movies now, and I know that he's interested. It's obvious he's interested in directing too. I mean, so if he's gonna make his debut, it makes sense to like do it in this franchise that he already knows. So it's not as big of a leap for him, and he has the support. So it's cool. My only thing is like I hate to just keep reiterating from the last conversation, but it's like I'm gonna watch Creed 3 and I'm sure it'll be good. But I'm just like, that's another franchise. I'm like, I don't know what else there is to do. I mean, unless what is he gonna fight Clubber Lang's son or I don't know. I mean. I hope they think of an interesting story. I'm sure they'll think of something, but to me, it's like after a while, it's like, yes, you reimagine Rocky with Creed. That was great. Creed 2, I thought was a good follow-up. It's like maybe finish it out with this one, move on to other stuff. I mean, he has Without Remorse coming out. He has these other, I'm hearing now he might be the Black Superman or whatever. So, and maybe, I don't know, Killmonger might come back in Black Panther 2. Who knows? Like, you hear all these rumors. So he has a lot of other projects he can work on. I think for me, this is probably more like I said, something so he can get, get some experience like directing, and then he'll probably direct some other projects or bigger projects, and it's a good stepping stone. But I really am just intrigued to know like what I mean. Like I said, I hope this is the last one.
I hope it's the last Creed film. Well, I'll say this: it's inspiring always to see. Any actor, actress, what have you, really take ownership of, their career and not, I like it when you're seeing a lot of actors and actresses, take initiative with their career and really taking hold of it versus really relying on other people to make those opportunities for them. For anyone who's out there in the indie industry, you know what I'm talking about, where a lot of times you kind of have to make things happen yourself. And while it's always awesome to have a lot of doors available to you, like I'm sure Michael B. Jordan does with, the talent that he has as an actor, it's also cool to see at the same time that, you're not resting on your laurels, that you're going out there and getting it, whether it's taking on a producer role and really taking ownership of the projects that you're doing, or even on another level of helming a film. So it's, in my opinion, it's however way you want to shape it, however way, you know, the final product ends up being, it's still inspiring, at least in my opinion, nonetheless, you know, especially a person of color, to be able to take ownership of that, to take ownership of their career, and to, you know, to do other roles outside of just relying on the primary one of acting.
Yeah, and I think that's great. No, I totally agree with you. I mean, big up to him for doing, because a lot of actors, a lot of people stay in just one role and that's all they do, and they don't,
or they just act. They don't really.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But even so, like, that's the whole point. Like, that limits also what you can do, because then you're relying on other people to write stuff or direct. You know, it's like, and I'm sure he probably wants to be. He probably wants to have the opportunity to do certain stories that other people aren't offering him or whatever. And he could be like, hey, I'm directing this, or, you know, if no one else wants to do it, I'll do it. You know, so that's what I mean, you have look at Mel Gibson. He did that. What? He's been in like 3 or 4, I think like 3 movies he did where he starred, or, you know, at least was it? He was. I know he was in Braveheart. He was in Man Without a Face. I don't know. Kevin Costner's another one. Yeah, but we didn't star in that. But I'm talking about like movies where like. But like, you look at Kevin Costner, I think that's also one of the reasons why he, you know, did Dances with Wolves. I mean, even you can say whatever you want about the movies. But he made, you know, he made sure that he was in it, and obviously tie it into Creed, Rocky. Like, look at Stallone. Stallone wouldn't be Stallone if he didn't make that deal and say, hey, you're not gonna get this script unless I'm starring in it. Because I remember they wanted Burt Reynolds, I think, or Robert Redford, and he was like, nope. And because he did that, he became Sylvester Stallone, and, you know, he directed some of the movies. So that's what you got to do. So, and
I was going to say, case in point to what you were saying, you know, speaking of Stallone, there's a nice little like full circle element to, you know, just this franchise of itself, of having spun off of Rocky, is that, you know, just like Stallone, you know, directing installments of that franchise, you know, again, you're seeing the star, you know, taking ownership and directing it as well with this new upcoming film. So I thought that connection was definitely, you know, interesting to say the least. So last but not least, switching gears to our very last story today, and actually we have an update on it. We were going to have a story on it as a news story, but it is since updated, and that is. Let me put it up here. Avatar overtaking Avengers Endgame as the highest grossing movie of all time.
That's awesome.
No. Yeah, right. I know, right? So with all those thoughts, let me pull up the story. And actually, we have a cool new photo that was created by, give credit to Boss Logic.
That's hilarious.
Who created this picture. You guys can find it on social media. But
like
Jerome,
they just got to release Endgame again. Just release it again, and it'll beat it. That's what'll happen.
So I want to be able to pull up the conversation between Cameron and the Russos. But, you know, while I'm doing that, Jerome, you know, what are your thoughts on this update?
Well, it's funny. At the end of the day, when it comes to money, it doesn't matter, because Disney's getting paid either way. So we'll just have a disclaimer. They get, ever since they bought Fox, they got all that, you know, they're just killing it. So they don't care. They're like, hey, more money in my pockets, in my bank account. But yeah, I mean, look, James Cameron is one of my top directors. Like, I look up to him. Obviously, he's one of the best, no question. And Russo's, obviously, they're up there. But let's be honest. I mean, this is my opinion, of course. I like the Avatar. I'm not saying I don't like the movie, but there's no way. I was so happy when Avengers Endgame beat it for being the highest box office movie, because to me, Avengers Endgame is like a way better movie, and the accumulation of you know, just of this big ass franchise that's just been making hit after hit, and you know, they just changed the game. So it's like, if the awards circuit is not going to recognize what Marvel did or whatever, at least in, you know, the box office. And of course, a lot of the other movies have done really well, but to be the #1 spot, it's just nice icing on the cake. It's like, yo, you know, if the Oscars didn't want to at least nominate Endgame or, you know, give it its just due, or if you know, no one else wanted to, or no one else wants to be like, oh, this is a good movie too. They just want to be like, oh, it's just a Marvel, it's a superhero movie, genre movie. Yeah, whatever. What they did, what Kevin Feige and the whole Marvel crew did, like they changed the game with a shared universe. Now you see everyone copying, and this is the end cap of at least that phase up to phase 3 and the Infinity Saga. I mean, to me, that is, they did way more with that movie than Avatar ever did. Even though Avatar had amazing visual effects, 3D effects, it's cool. But basically, like I said, I love James Cameron. I love the Terminator movies. Of course, Aliens, True Lies. Like, he has classics. Can't deny that. But Avatar, if it didn't have the visual effects, to me, it was just like, you know, they just remaking, you know, Fern Gully and Dances with Wolves and Samurai. You know, like, but the sequels. I'm looking forward to the sequels, though. We'll say that. But I'm just like, I just think the Marvel franchise did more, and that movie, to me, just in general, that movie just encompasses a lot more and it had more of an impact on my life and just cinema in general than like Avatar. That's why I'm like, now if it was like Terminator 2, or something, I wouldn't have any problems. I'd be like, hell yeah, Terminator 2, even, you know, or the first Terminator. But I'm just like, Avatar? But, you know, hey, also 3D, remember 3D ticket sales back in the day, they cost more money. It costs more money to see a movie.
Sure. For sure. And with that being said, I'll go over kind of like the brief interaction on social media. So on Twitter, Marvel sent out a congratulatory tweet. Congratulations, Jim Cameron, John Landau, and all of Navi Nation for reclaiming the box office crown. We love you, 3000 Avatar. And then everyone else, other people are following suit. Let me switch over here. Okay, so yes, right here, passing the gauntlet back to you, James Cameron. And again, here's the picture again that you are seeing up there. So cool stuff. You know, obviously, I'm sure the Russo brothers would have still liked the title of being, you know, number one, but you know, they're being, everyone is being, you know, very, very PC and nice about it, and going back and forth of, you know, I'm proud of you, thank you so much, thank you. So hey, it is what it is. I myself, you know, I did like Avatar. I understand, you know, a lot of the criticism surrounding it in terms of like the story beats and all of those things, but at the same time, in terms of like the technology, the 3D, all of that stuff, the animation, there is something to be, you know, said about that. I thought those elements of it were pretty unique and pretty cool. And I love anyone out there, you know, I love, whether it's DC, whether it's Marvel, you know, I love a well-made superhero film. Marvel obviously kind of has that element, like in a strength, in a grip in terms of, you know, holding down that particular genre of film that we've come to know and love, and you're seeing a lot of people trying to replicate that and not really successfully replicate that. But it's still quite an achievement. It's impressive that they were able to get it back. But you know, just what with any record, records are made to be broken, and I'm sure at some point, you know, something is going to overtake Avatar yet again by like what, a couple of $1,000 or maybe $1 million, like by a smidge. So we'll see.
You also remember it's really just because of China, and obviously, and not to get back, you know, well, so people can understand, it's like China, they have the pandemic under control a lot better, so they have people going to the movies, and Avatar was really big in China. So, like I said, you know, they've been re-releasing movies recently, you know, so people can watch something in theaters. So you know what? They could still re-release Endgame again and might just knock it out. So who knows? We'll see. There's a very strong possibility. I think a lot of films have been shown, a lot of theaters that have started to come back, they're still, I think we're showing Tenet again. And Tenet came out, you know. So they can still do it. They'll probably have no choice to do it because of the capacity being like 25% in a lot of places. They're not going to be at full capacity yet. So that's what they've been doing, showing like these older films, like Back to the Future or, you know, whatever, E.T. and Marvel movies. So yeah. Definitely. Anyway,
but with that being said, guys, that's going to be our show of many of the cool story bits that made the rounds in the world of entertainment. I'm your host, Brandon Troy, host and co-creator of Moves and Shakers, and next to me I have
Jerome in the house. Anyway, but yeah, no, just yeah, thanks for watching. You guys can check us out on Mover Shakers Unlimited on YouTube, on Instagram, Move and Shake UNLTD on Twitter. Check us on Facebook. I'm Liam Productions, at Liam Productions on Twitter, Liam Productions 21 on Instagram. Follow, subscribe, like, leave a comment, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, and for sure, I wanted to also add so that way you guys can follow us, follow along with us. We do have a Twitter handle. So I want to put that up there for you guys to check out. So TWNR MNSU. So this week in review, Movers and Shakers Unlimited. We also have some separate ones for some of our other series, which you can find over on our Twitter. So whenever you want to drop us a comment or chat about certain topics, be sure to add that Twitter handle, and keep in touch with us. Before we go, I just wanted to also give you guys a reminder that next week we will have a show for an upcoming series that is highly anticipated. I say that to say the least. We're going to be doing a episode by episode, or I should say, we'll start doing episode reviews of the show Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So let me see if I can pull that up for you guys. But yes, we will be doing a show for Falcon and the Winter Soldier starting next week. And it will debut on Sunday, the 21st at 1100 hours. Little inside joke, military joke there, but it will happen. It will happen at 1100 hours, so 11 a.m. on Sunday, March 21st, as the show will debut on the 19th. But we will be airing. You can look for us every Sunday following the initial episode that we have on that day. So yeah, come by, drop us a comment. Let us know, perhaps some of your theories. We'll share some of our theories of things that we feel, might be on the horizon with the show. And should be pretty fun. I'm very much looking forward to, delving into the next series. WandaVision was quite unique and entertaining. So, I'm very much looking forward to what this new upcoming series has to offer. So yes, other than that, again, guys, thanks so much for watching. As I said before, if you like many of these videos and some of the content that we put on, make sure that you like and subscribe down below. I'll bring it right here. So down there, like and subscribe below. Throw us a thumbs up, drop a comment of perhaps where you guys are watching from, or some things that you guys are looking forward to, or some story topics that have interested you over the course of the week. Be sure to let us know. But other than that, be safe out there. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Move and shake.
Peace.